and a half with a small loft apartment, shed-style dormer to the east, and a 26-foot ridge line. And based on experience here before, looking at the neighbors, looking at the properties up and down in Putnam's, it's just not going to fly. And so what we did was simply went back to the architect and said, let's redesign what is basically there. Match same aesthetics, veneer, all that.
Okay. I would make a motion to.
Can I ask a question
Go ahead.
first, Joe? So your new design will be the hipped roof, follow the hipped roof, one story, keep the footprint, that kind of thing?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our existing plan is 5% under the existing footprint of the garage. When you can, there's two sections to the garage.
Right.
So we're going to go to 100% of the footprint, but it'll be the same height, width, and just the same depth.
How important to you is it to have the demolition approved today without approval of the plans for the new garage? My concern is we get these applications for demolition promising a new garage, and 3 years later there's still not one, and that really looks terrible in the neighborhood. And this garage is not, I understand the structural issues, and I'm not going to be opposed to the demolition, but it doesn't look like it's going to fall over and kill somebody, and it doesn't look from the front, it's not an eyesore. And so my concern is granting the demolition CA, if you don't get back in here with an application that's approved for a new garage, then, you know, we possibly could have a blank area back there, which really looks much worse than the present garage does. How important is it to you to have another month? Could we just continue the whole thing for another month without?
Well, I can't, because if I get continued again, I'm denied, correct? I mean, I can't have another continuance because it's
right,
on.
We cannot continue it again.
No.
It would be to either deny the whole thing and he reapplies for all of the items, or go ahead and approve the demolition and deny the other items. But there are no continuances left.
But if we deny without prejudice, you can come back, right, with the same thing, except we know you're not going to on the garage, but the denial without prejudice would not keep you from having in your new certificate of appropriateness application the application to demolish. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So my question is, could we just wait and do the whole thing as a package next month without a huge inconvenience to Paul?
We could. I mean, it's the commission's prerogative to do that. What I'd prefer to be able to do is tell our client that we got one victory. You know, we got the certificate of appropriateness accomplished. He has no interest in tearing down the garage without the ability to build a new one. And it took some conversations in our office to get him to understand that we have to build what is going to be aesthetically pleasing to the community and into the historical area. So we have no interest in tearing. We're not going to tear it down until I get an approval to rebuild the new garage. There's just no reason to do that.
Okay.
So my preference would be that we approve one and decline three with prejudice, if we can do that. But I'm here at your mercy.
The staff report says with prejudice.
So when we deny without prejudice, they can reapply for exactly the same thing. When we deny with prejudice, they have to come back with something different. So on the basis that they do plan to come back with something different, you could do with prejudice.
Exactly.
Well, I trust Paul. I know him. I trust you. Things can happen
They can.
that just completely change the whole landscape. If it's not a huge inconvenience, I would prefer that we not grant the demolishment. And you can explain that to Paul, that it's everybody understands what we're doing here.
Right.
But not just do the whole thing as a package next month or whenever, 2 months, whenever you're ready.
But since they're out of continuances, wouldn't we have to either approve or deny?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just
So if you
rambling without making a
deny,
motion.
I can't continue. So if you deny my certificate of appropriateness, that doesn't allow me even in the next, because I'm not changing that. I'm only going to change the design of the new garage.
So it would be a denial without prejudice?
Yes, on the demolition and, yeah.
I share Commissioner Broadbent's concerns. We've had this issue before, and I know you all are familiar with the applicant but I do share the concerns of demolition and then a blank space for some unknown period of time.
From the standpoint of making motions and having the appropriate findings, we would have to have some reason that we are denying the application for the garage, which I hear that that reason is basically so that they'll come back with an application for a new garage. But the commission really has to consider the demolition as a standalone item, because even if they do it all in one application, we have no mechanism to force them to rebuild a new garage anyway. So
Could there be a specific finding that the garage would not be demolished until the approval of the new garage?
We would agree with
don't have
that.
any way to enforce that. That has been a frequent request from people when there have been.
Oh, sorry, I hadn't heard that.
Not so much from this body, but various design review districts. When we've had controversial demolitions, people have asked that we somehow require new construction in tandem with the demolition, and we currently do not have a mechanism to force that.
Even if we agree to it?
I'm sorry?
Even if we agree to that, that is our plan. I have no interest, Paul's not going to let me tear on the garage without, put one back. So he would have no problem agreeing to that. My concern is that if we decline or you deny my certificate of appropriateness when we come back in a month or whenever the next one is, your guidelines say today it's either yes or no. And so if you decline it today, how am I going to get it? You're going to decline 2, 3, and 4, which is fine. We don't need those. But if you decline item 1, then how do I get back on the agenda to get it approved when there's going to be no changes to it at all? There's going to be no prejudice to it at all. See what I'm saying? I'm not going to have to go through the entire application
we would have
process
to
again.
deny the demolition without prejudice, and we would then have to justify why we're doing that in the findings, which is tricky to do if we're planning on approving it 2 months from now. That's staff's concern.
It is tricky, and if staff can figure it out, then so be it. But, our engineer's report, I think, was pretty clear as to the garage isn't going to fall down, but if you breathe too close to it, it just may, because it's tilting a good 3-4 inches to the east. So, it's in rough shape.
So
Anyway.
Suzanne or Ann, do you have some findings that you would add to that denial?
Well, I don't, from what I hear, there's really nothing to add that will have any teeth, really, or have any effect on its effect. So, and I'm hearing from staff that it puts you in a bad position, because then you have to come back and say, well, it ought to be approved this time with those particular changes. So, having said that, I think we've made our point, and I do think Paul is a very responsible homeowner.
Indeed.
So it's fine with me to go ahead and approve demolition, since it's more in keeping with our
Okay.
procedures.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to approve 17-00098, item 1, with the specific findings in the staff report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Broadbent, second by Meacham. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so then we still need to look at item 2, 3, and 4, which we're recommending denying with prejudice. And it sounds like the applicant agrees to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Can we take those all as one, or do we need to separate them the way you've done that in the staff report?
I think you can do it all in one. with the
Well,
findings and stuff.
now, 3 and 4 will probably be the same thing that he's going to submit with the new application for the garage. It's just the apron and the mechanical stuff, so we probably ought to deny that without prejudice, shouldn't we?
I agree. Since it all goes together, it might change depending on, we don't know the final configuration or anything. so-
Item 4 is the mechanical, will not be, we won't have any mechanicals in the garage. Mechanical was for
The
living
upstairs.
quarters above.
Yeah.
And since we are omitting that, we won't have mechanicals. And the apron, I think the challenge we have with the apron is we didn't clearly define what that is. I'm not changing out the driveway. We're just simply, it's literally the apron into the existing garage.
Okay, I just didn't want to create an issue for the next time they're here.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion for HPCA 17-00098, items 2, 3, and 4 to deny with prejudice.
Second.
Okay, motion by Meacham, seconded by Zacharitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank
We're all
you.
wrapped up. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
HPCA 17-00144 at 2207 North Broadway, Heritage Hills East, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Steve Maddox Omniland Corp. by Ryan Gillette of Banks, Gilbert and Gillette, PLLC, for certificate of appropriateness to, 1, install freestanding accessory sign elective, and 2, provide recommendation to the Board of Adjustment for variance from the location of the sign within the right-of-way. And I have lots of typos in that sentence. I apologize. The commission reviewed this previously. The applicant has revised the proposal to move the sign to a brick wall that extends perpendicular from the face of the building. Staff was concerned that that wall remains in the right-of-way because this building's very close, comparatively close to the street with a pretty deep right-of-way off of Broadway. So we made one suggestion that perhaps it could be installed on the face of the building rather than that brick wall.
Okay, are you the applicant?
I am. My name is
Just
Ryan
state your
Gillette.
name
I'm
and address.
Ryan Gillette, leasing the space at 2207 North Broadway.
Okay. So what staff has recommended that approval with the condition that the sign be moved?
And as Ms. Furler already stated, we had continued this from last time where our original plan was to have a panel post sign in the yard. There was some concern both from the public and the commission as far as how that would look, aesthetics, as well as the materials. I went back, talked to my partners. We resubmitted the change to put on this brick wall, which was mentioned at the last meeting as well. There is the concern about the right-of-way. We don't know that it does impede on the right-of-way. If you actually look at the city planning, the line looks like it may come up to the windows of the building, but also it shows the other side of that right-of-way literally on the curb across the street. I went and I was told from the mapping planning department that it's not always entirely accurate. You would have to have a survey done. Obviously, as a tenant, we're not willing to incur the additional expenses we don't own the property to have an official survey done. The existing walls there, we're not certain why attaching a sign to that of sheet metal would impede any right-of-way by the city. There's already holes there from previous signs that have been attached, I'm assuming by prior tenants to the business as well. We did talk about, as staff suggested, of moving it to the front-facing wall. However, we kind of felt that defeats the majority of our purpose for having the sign. One is to be visible to oncoming traffic to show that our business is there, that there is a law office that's present, as well as the other half for our clients to find us. We often describe, look for the small building next to the fire station with black awnings. If you put it on the east-facing wall on the very front between the entry and the windows there, people would have to actively look for it, and often because of that driveway, it's one-way street there, they wouldn't see it till they passed our entry into our parking lot in the rear of the building, which kind of defeats it. And as well as if you are looking for it, you already know where we're at anyway. So for us, it feels like it defeats the purpose to put it on the east-facing wall. As well as the last issue in the report in regards to attaching it with mortar, we feel actually that would actually do more damage to the brick. We think with screws, given the existing, you can screw into the mortar joints, which is if you put mortar on the sign, it's going to mortar to the face of the brick. And eventually, when there's a new tenant, since we don't own the property, I think that would cause more damage and harm to the building than just filling in some holes in the mortar joints. So based on those reasons, we're asking the commission to approve to allow us to have the sign there on the perpendicular wall.
Comments from commissioners?
I have concern that the sign and placement don't comply with the city's sign ordinance. Can you address that?
Specifically, is there a certain ordinance you're,
No, I'm presuming that the staff report is correct when it states that the proposed sign does not meet the City of Oklahoma City sign code in the proposed location. I have not reviewed the sign code myself.
I think that's what they're addressing when I was talking about the right-of-way on the city, because city mapping shows their line under just their initial mapping all the way up to the windows that you see on the building there, which means the entire front yard, that entire walkway is considered just based on their computers they have there in the office within that easement. And then it shows the other side of that to literally be on the curb on the other side of the street, which I would suspect means the mapping is not very accurate. Obviously, I have not had a surveyor done that. That's more expense than we were willing to incur as being a tenant. But I think, other than that, I think that was the only issue that staff had, or concern that staff had, that it may not that they definitely had record of an easement that it would violate, which would then make it against those regulations.
Thank you.
We received comments from the Heritage Hills East Historic District, and they oppose the sign, noting that it is a zoned R1 surrounded by single-family dwellings. They would like to see the sign mounted to the building itself. Anyone here from Heritage Hills East that would like to speak on behalf of this? No? Okay. Any other comments from commissioners?
And I'll mention that, go ahead, come on up. I was just going to add the note that I talked with Dr. Ice from Heritage Hills East. As I think some of you know, the neighborhood associations for Heritage Hills and Heritage Hills East have merged. So they are doing their neighborhood design review committee work together. So we'll be getting comments from Heritage Hills for both Heritage Hills and Heritage Hills East cases. Their zoning has not changed, but you'll start to see comments from those two different entities.
I probably shouldn't be speaking because I really don't know a lot about this, but I think the concern that he had was there was a different standard set by urban design. Does that mean anything to you guys? That it needed to follow the urban design protocol for signage, as well as the Heritage Hills East, the historic preservation?
First, if you'll state your name.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Rhonda Woods. I'm from Heritage Hills.
There is, so Heritage Hills East is also under an urban conservation district overlay, and we didn't reference those sign guidelines here. Typically, HPs are more restrictive than the urban conservation districts, but I actually don't have a copy of that in front of me. Do you have those? It might be.
Well, I know it was a big concern to Mr. Ice, and he was very worried about it, and he wished that he could be here today, so maybe you could continue it until he can be here. And I apologize that I don't know more about it, but I do know that it was a big topic last night at our meeting.
So this, our binder only has the neighborhood conservation district, which is in the Paseo area. We don't have the urban conservation district language here to reference, and I'm sorry that I omitted that.
I think Laura's looking it up.
Okay.
It might take her a minute, though.
You know, I have talked informally with plan review staff that does our sign code review, and they felt uncertain as to whether this was in the right-of-way or not. And so I honestly wouldn't be surprised if when you go to get your sign permit, they ask for a survey, simply because the records that we have, it looks like it's in the right-of-way. It's a very large right-of-way off of Broadway. So regardless of what happens here, they may be asking you for that when you go to get a permit for the sign.
And to clarify, and I did initially hire a sign company to both build the sign and to do the licensing before we realized we were in a historic district. And from what they tell me, and I have not received it, but they had already received approval from the actual city for the signs. We have that approval. It was just the historical commission's approval we needed at this point was the only thing
I
remaining.
think you can't get that approval until you have this approval. You
Okay.
have to have a CA in order to get construction permit.
Okay. But, well, then I'll clarify. I guess my understanding was, at least from the company I hired, was that from their end, they said, everything looks good for final approval. As long as you get the CA, you should be good to go. Of course, obviously, it's not an official approval,
Yeah.
but I think if there's any question that the city had concerns about it, from my understanding, they've already looked at that, and we're just waiting for the CA.
So Katie, do you think we should, in light of the neighborhood comments, do you think we should wait until we have the UCD guidelines?
I think it's important to check what those say. Now, those are going to be referenced in plan review as well. So regardless of what, we can approve anything we want here, and if it doesn't meet other relevant codes, then they're going to get held up when they go through the rest of the permitting process. So I think right now it's before the commission to determine, aside from whether or not other applicable codes would allow this, does the commission feel that the sign in the proposed location is appropriate? If the commission approves the sign in the proposed location and it turns out that it doesn't meet other codes, then they'll have to come back through us to amend that.
Well, staff has recommended that the sign be on the front of the building. The neighborhood, so they would like to see it there. Staff's recommendation is based on the guidelines that we have before us. So it seems like maybe that would be more appropriate. I know it's not the location that you wish to put it, but it seems like maybe, as per our guidelines, that might be an approvable one. Any other comments from anyone in the audience or commissioners?
I'm somewhat frustrated for a business because this is clearly a business in a commercial zone, even though it's R1. I feel frustrated that they can't have a sign to show who they are, to be honest with you.
R1 is residential,
Hmm?
right? Not
Correct.
commercial? Yeah.
But
But-
this is a grandfathered building, correct?
Yes.
Obviously.
Grandfathered in.
Yes.
I mean, I'm in agreement with.
Do I have a motion either way?
Well, it's not that they can't have a sign, it's just that they can't have a sign on that wall, if I'm understanding this. I don't know, traditionally, law firms had a pretty muted sign, pretty low-key, just on the side of the building. I know things have changed a lot for the law practice, but I would think you're not really going to get a lot of walk-ins with a sign. I'm not sure what the purpose of having it for people driving by, other than finding the building, and as you said, most people going to a law office already know where they're going and
Or they
why.
have a smartphone?
Yeah, and so I'm really not sure why it's so important that it be visible as people are driving down Broadway.
Well, and as I stated, one of the major concerns is the people looking for our office, because we routinely, even though we've described our building, they routinely pass it. What the pictures don't show here is if anyone here has personal knowledge of that area, that is right on the east side of the fire station. So Broadway actually splits around the fire station. We are right at that turn. Traffic usually kind of moves fast. It's busy. And I know as I've driven it, to divert your attention from the road, honestly, is kind of dangerous. So then to stop and have to look on that front-facing side, they're either going to have to slow down considerably, which can be a hazard and concern for people's safety as well, to see that, and then they're going to miss it. And if they're passing it or they get a glance of it and they're doing 2 or 3 circles around the fire station, it's increasing traffic. It kind of defeats the purpose of the sign, other than us to just, because there is the house numbers on the, or the building number on the front of the building. And at that point, if they have to drive around to see the sign in the front. Now, I understand the commission's point of, there's normally a very muted sign with law firms, stuff like that. I think that's generally with a building that's easily facing the street, a normal street that's not splitting and turning around a fire station. I think the location of this property makes it so unique, and that's why we're wanting to put it on that wall. And also to add, and I'm not sure if the pictures are clear, it appears to me that wall is part of the original construction of that building. It doesn't look like it's a secondary wall that's freestanding on its own. So it is part of the building and appears to be the same original brick as the rest of the building and so forth. So that's our main purpose.
We did find the Urban Conservation District language for signs for Heritage Hills East. No non-accessory signs shall be permitted. No signs, either freestanding or attached, shall exceed the height of the building as constructed. Portable signs are prohibited. Flashing lights prohibited. When there is a commercial use fronting on Broadway and a corner, the signage shall not be on the side yard, the side street. When it fronts Broadway and has been expanded to lots with frontage on a local street, signs should not be permitted on said lots. That's addressing commercial properties with no frontage on Broadway. So there doesn't appear to be anything here that would prohibit the sign as proposed for a commercial property fronting Broadway. It appears to only address if it fronts Broadway and another street, that the signage has to be limited to Broadway. That's my reading of it.
Where would you prefer the sign be? If you do anything you wanted?
Well, if I could do anything I wanted, we would have preferred our original plan to have a post and panel sign in the front yard with some flowers and shrubbery underneath it. But we are okay with having it on the wall.
Which wall?
The current wall we're requesting right now in our current application.
And that comes perpendicular out from the building, right?
Correct.
Seems like on the other wall would be easier to see when you're driving by.
Well, I think he's saying that when you're coming that way, then you're looking right at the sign.
You're looking right at it,
because
is
it's a
that-
one-way.
Correct.
Okay, we've heard the applicant's location preference. We've heard from the neighborhood. Looks like we're kind of split a little bit. Does anyone want to make a motion either way?
Well, I will move approval with the specific findings and conditions that the staff has put in their report, one of those being, of course, that it is to be installed on the east facade of the building.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Broadbent, second.
But before we go, I noticed there's a number 2, provide a recommendation of denial for a variance to the sign location if requested. Does that need to be part of this motion as well, or I don't quite understand.
No, that's an option, right?
Yeah, that would be if we were going forward with if they were attempting to install the sign as proposed on that forward-facing wall that may be in the right-of-way, then they would need a variance.
If it's in the right-of-way.
Right.
So today, we don't know whether they need a variance or not. Okay.
With these kinds of situations, don't we normally ask if they approve of the condition?
Yes. Is it acceptable
Could
to
you
you?
restate the condition? Could you restate?
Well, the conditions are that the sign be installed on the east facade of the building with documentation, et cetera, that the sign be anchored into mortar joints and not into the brick. That's the staff's recommended conditions.
So we have a motion with that condition.
Given that condition, that's not what we would prefer, and if that were the option, we'd probably elect not to put the sign up at all.
So we can move approval, and they may choose not to put a sign up at all, or we can do what? continue it until they find another location, which I don't think there is one.
I think if they don't agree to the conditions, then there's no, then we don't move forward with that motion. Correct me if
I mean, I guess the commission can choose to grant a CA if they so choose. Whether or not the applicant ever does work is immaterial.
Or we also someone could make a motion to approve it as proposed and see what the vote is, since it sounded like we had some in support of it.
So what we have is a motion with the condition to put it on the east facade of the building, unless someone wants to make a motion to approve the location as pictured in the packet. We need to move on. No? Okay.
Are we voting on the first one?
We are.
Don't we have to vote since it's been a motion?
Yeah, so moved by Broadbent, seconded by Zacharitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, so we have 2, 2, 3. No. Okay, it's been approved with that condition. Thank you.
HPCA 17-00187 at 805 Northwest 21st Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Peter Habamera by Paul Little for certificate of appropriateness to 4, replace non-historic windows on west side required, 5, replace front porch elective, 8, paint surface of existing and proposed porch floor elective, 9, remove existing front porch steps facing street elective, 10, remove existing front porch steps facing drive and construct new steps elective, 11, install handrail at front porch and steps, elective. 12, create new section of sidewalk, elective. 16, install fiber cement shingles to match existing asbestos siding to infill side light at east door, elective. And 17, create new window opening and install window on east, elective.
Actually, I'm not. I'm the applicant's architect, but the applicant's present, and I'd like to speak in his behalf, if that's okay. Larry Lucas, 2524 Northwest 50th Street, Oklahoma City, 73112.
Okay, staff has recommended approval for all items, some with unique circumstances, and one with a condition. Has the applicant seen that condition, or shall I read it to you?
Yes, we have,
Okay.
regarding the painting of the
Exactly.
surfaces.
Hard coat or something would be more appropriate.
We understand that.
Can you
And
fix that?
I think in lieu of doing anything, I think we may just try to match the concrete as best we can.
I have a question. It says that there's a proposal for a number of items. Many have been done, but it appears that some completed items are not included on this application. Do you have other items that are going to be included on a future application, or has staff determined that everything on the application includes all the work done?
There are several outstanding items that appear to qualify for administrative approval that we've got documentation on. At this point, we just haven't done an administrative approval. We may have some more clarification on some of those items, but I think it's complete at this point.
It was things like light fixtures and storm doors. We've been talking with Angela and Katie about those.
Okay, any other comments from commissioners?
So are you saying that on item, which item is, item 8? On item 8, on the condition that instead of the top surface be treated in some other fashion with documentation that you are not going to have any coating on the top, rather you're just going to match the concrete, would that be the condition attached to that item?
Yes, ma'am. I think that's the best approach because it's just it ends up being a budgetary issue. So when the house is sold, then there may be some sort of a a rug that's placed there or something like that. Just to, just be a seam in two
Right.
locations. It's no big deal.
Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this? No? Do we have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve if I want to change that condition, do I need to make a motion specifically for that item?
No, I think you can
Okay.
do them all.
Make a motion for HPCA 17-00187 to approve items 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, and 17 with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report, and the condition and a condition for, let's see, proposed, not, okay, and the condition for item 8, that the new concrete remain untreated and, I guess, executed to match the existing as close as possible, and that the unique circumstances attached to items 16 and 17 are also included as noted by the staff in the staff report.
Do we have a second?
Second. But I have a question.
Okay.
So untreated would mean, you'd mean he can't paint it either?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It would just be pre-mixed to match as best we can.
Okay, we have a motion by Meacham, seconded by Broadbent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
HPCA 17-00191 at 928 Northwest 18th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Regina Roof by Ty McBride of Territory Building Co., LLC for certificate of appropriateness to, 1, replace non-historic windows, elective. Between the time that the packets went out and this meeting, the applicant did submit additional window documentation specific to the windows they proposed to install that answered all of staff's concerns. I know the commission has not had the opportunity to review that.
My question, since I don't have that in front of me, do the proposed windows on either side of on the left side, I'll just call on the left side, the upper windows above, there's 3, and then the lower window on the first floor is wider than the opening above it. So obviously those can't be matched exactly in size, but so there's 3, do the 2 on the outside, are they the same size as the windows above?
We just base the measurements, the ratios off of just common window ratios.
Which would be?
I'm sorry?
What is that ratio?
I wasn't even supposed to be here today. We had an emergency, so I don't know much about this job.
Before we move forward, if you'll state your name and your address, please,
sorry.
and sign in. For the
Jeff Hinke, address is 3130 Northwest 49th.
Are you on the application as someone
Ty
that
McBride is. I work at Wood Window Rescue under Territory
is
Building.
the owner here?
She is not.
Okay, so how does that work?
Are you representing Territory?
Yes.
Yeah, he represents the contractor, so.
Okay, so even though his name is not listed, we can still,
I think so.
okay, great, thank you.
Well, Katie,
So you do have an elevation of the windows in your staff report, page 6 of 10.
yes.
Shows and so you're asking if those outer 2 windows match the narrower windows above them in the historic photo.
That was yes. I was, that would be one way to get that ratio. That's what I was just wondering how you all determined that, or if I don't know, what staff thought, or since you have the drawings now. Because you say they appear to be out of alignment. So that was my interpretation, that maybe that staff initially felt like that that the ratio that they used was not appropriate. To me, it would, and then I'm looking at the windows, and the ones at the top are 3/1, and then the newly proposed ones are 4/1. And I guess I thought, well, to me, the easiest way to get, or one of the ways, but it's not drawn out, would be to use the above windows on either side, the same size, and then make a larger window in the middle. I don't know. That's why I'm saying that then the ones on the bottom now, you've got on the top, it's 3/1, and then on the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's why that's what I thought staff was referring to, is that you had put 4/1 on the bottom, and there's 3/1 on the top. What is the new?
Yeah, so the new drawings actually just show better details of kind of the mutton profiles and window details and
But
that
not
sort
the
of thing.
number?
It's not a change to the configuration or anything.
Yeah, throughout the house, there's different.
Different ones in different places.
3/1, there's some 4/1s.
There's some 4/1.
Looking at the cropped photo of the historic photo on page 3 of 10 of the staff report, it does look like that is and it's at an angle, but it does look like a 3/1, and then I can count at least 6 there on the middle one.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that does look like the side windows are narrower and the center one is wider than what's proposed.
I guess that would, I wouldn't have, it's because of staff's comment that I looked at the windows and thought, in general, for historic buildings, that they would just use those same exact windows from above on either side and then make the one bigger in the middle with additional muttons. So, but not 3/1s at the top with 4/1.
Absolutely.
Because it looks like that these are maybe about the same size, but they have 4/1 instead of the 3/1. So. I would rely on staff to make a final determination if you all.
Now, this is one that Angela worked more closely with them on than
Okay.
I did, so as you point that out, I'm inclined to agree with you. It looks like you have 2 narrower windows on either side and a much wider window in the center on the historic photo, and that does appear different from what's proposed in the submittal.
And so is that the only window that's being replaced, the only opening?
There's 2 windows.
And the other ones are singles?
Yes.
So then we would want the applicant to approximate that historic condition a little better than what's been proposed?
I think so. My request would be that, and since we don't have the existing measurements for the existing historic windows, we can't compare, like even on the single windows, the 24 1/4, and you've got 4/1 to another 3/1 or a 4/1, because there must be a width when that crosses over that they decided to go 4/1.
I think they were based on the east side of the house. There's 4/1, so I think they were based off that one. Since it's lower floor, I think that's what the measurements were based off of.
Is this something that we can make, that we can have a condition and staff can check it? Or do they need to come back?
I would be inclined, since the applicant's not here and since Ty's not here, and this sounds like this is not really your project, to maybe go ahead and continue it so that the applicant can weigh in and talk with their contractor. Sounds like it could be a pretty quick change if we did it to the February 7th meeting.
Okay.
To get that clarified?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00191 to the February 7th meeting.
Second.
The motion by Meacham, a second by Zacharitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's been continued to the February 7th meeting. Thank you.
HPCA 17-00198 at 617 Northwest 18th Street, Nesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Stephen Garter for certificate of appropriateness to 2, infill wall and window opening with stucco veneer, elective.
I'm Steve Garter, 617 Northwest 18th.
Okay, Mr. Garter, you received approval at the December meeting, actually, yeah, last month, to remove the existing material to unearth what's underneath it to see if there's possible historic material. Have you done that?
We have.
You have?
And there's, under that lovely metal siding, it's wood siding. Basically looks the same except it's wood.
Okay.
And I actually have some pictures of it, if you want me to let staff pass them out so you can actually see what's under it.
Your application today is requesting to infill wall and window opening with stucco veneer. Are you still requesting that?
Yes.
Even though we know that there's wood siding underneath, which is the presumed historic
It's kind of
condition?
just a montage of materials because there's brick, stucco, and then siding. And the house is about 80, probably 85% stucco, and the siding just looks out of place.
Sorry, what are we looking at here? What is this?
That is what was underneath the siding. We peeled the corner back.
Okay, I see. Okay.
Mr. Carter, is that area that you're talking about, is that part of the original house, and then the garage was added to the front of that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, you know, we've
like a portico
been
share.
researching it, and, you know,
Yeah.
it's hard to find for sure, but we actually, in part of the demolition, found a newspaper in the wall from 1964. So
Right, that sounds right.
it's kind of cool, but, so we believe that that was done in 64.
Well, you have a challenge.
Absolutely. You know, we think that that originally was probably an open-air porch up there. And so what we're proposing, and you can kind of see it in the pictures, is to put a frame that sticks out about 1.5 inches that will be a part of the stucco, but it'll kind of give a little bit of a nod to what it used to be, to kind of bring it a little back, you know, into a more historic, appropriate look.
We can assume that the siding up there with the one window is probably a porch at one
Yes.
point?
Used to be, yeah. We think so.
I'm sorry?
We think that's what it was.
Yeah.
It's a master bathroom now.
So I think typically knowing, you know, you've removed that inappropriate siding material, found that there's wood siding underneath, the guidelines are in favor of you going back with that wood siding. I don't know. I mean, staff had recommended a continuance because they didn't yet know what was under that metal siding, and now we do know that it was wood, so that might change the recommendation. But I don't know exactly which guideline it is that says that. Maybe, Katie, you can help me. It says to go back with the existing or the historic material.
Yes, various guidelines in 3.1 talk about when remove an inappropriate component or material and restore the original or historic component or material that is revealed by such removal. That's 3.1.14. I was just rereading the description of what the Sanborn maps show, which says that there was a 2-story attachment at the southeast corner of the house and that it is enclosed on the 1922 Sanborn, and that no changes are apparent on subsequent editions of the map. Looking at the Sanborn maps that are included in the staff report, which are not terribly legible when they're blown up to this size, it does show that it is, when you see a dotted line like you see at the front porch, that indicates that it's open. When you see a solid line like you see on the side of the house, that indicates that it's closed. There is a note underneath that says something on the first floor that may have said auto on the first floor, or it may have said that it was open on the first floor. Sometimes we see a portico share with a room above, But that would indicate to me that as far back as 1922, that space on the second floor was enclosed and not actually an open space.
And we would presume that it was wood siding at that time?
Yes, there's nothing that indicates any other cladding material on the Sanborn map.
So based on the guidelines, I would think we would want you to go back with the wood siding or keep that wood siding. I don't see anything that would allow us to have you put stucco veneer.
Well, what about 3.1.3 where it says about removing half of something? That apply here? I feel some compassion for the situation since he's got such a mixture of materials on the house, that, and none of them, except for what he's exposed, at our request, is original.
All right.
The stucco's not original, the brick is not original. So,
I think staff had a concern not only about the material, but about it being a blank wall with no windows in it on the front elevation of the house. That likely was not the historic condition if this was an enclosed space.
But it's now a master bathroom.
Right. Well, our proposal there leaves the window in. If you look at that picture of the proposed, we're stuccoing it, leaving the window, and then framing around it. Angela thought that that window really gives her heartburn. It's not historic at all, but she thought it might look good to take the window out, stucco the whole wall, and put that frame around it, which I've got. I also had an elevation prepared of that if you want to see it. It's basically the same thing you've got there without the window in it.
Right. Yeah, I see.
Yeah, could we see that? You'll hand it to Paula here.
Absolutely. I'm not sure that's all of them. There you go. There's the rest of them.
And what would the frame be made of? Is that wood?
Well, it's a material, it's a foam, real hard foam that the stucco guys use, and it goes around, and then they put felt paper over that, wire mesh over that, and the stucco over that. So
So that it wouldn't be flat.
Exactly. It would be sticking out, so it would
Right,
give
there'd be a little
to the
dimension there.
wall. Yeah. Personally, I think it would look a lot better than leaving the siding there, just because of so many different materials.
So is there siding on any other part of the house? I don't seem to see
No,
it.
that's the only place there's siding. That's what I said, probably 80 to 85% of the house is that stuff.
Yeah.
And we are going to change the color of the stucco. It's going to be a lot better. That's right. I know that's not the commission's.
But the siding is on all three sides.
It is. It's on that side, which is the south. It's also on the east,
In the north.
and
And that's the only place it is on the house.
that's the only place.
Is the back of the house completely stuccoed?
Yes.
So what's the wall material that is not stucco? Is it the brick? Is that the only other wall material now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I would make a motion to approve based on, there's no really original material showing at this time, and it just seems that it appears to me to be more of an eyesore than a addition. Even if you went back with the wood, it would still stand out. Like, what is that? It's a tough one but it's just one of those houses. It's been so, so much of the exterior, all of it, has been covered or removed or something over the years. So, I don't know. I would make a motion to approve. It seems like one of the better ideas to make the house cohesive.
Can you specify if you have a preference on the window staying or going?
I mean, what would you prefer? We
I'd
generally
probably keep the window for the light,
keep the window.
but we're good with either. We
Is
can
that
still frame.
configuration okay? Would you rather have a different window? Could you do a bigger window there? I guess one of the things is, we like the guidelines suggest that, the openings are similar in size. Is that the biggest you can make in that
That really
situation?
is, we could go square instead of round.
Square would maybe be better.
Yeah, we could go square there, and, because there's a shower, right?
Right.
So we would need documentation to.
Yes. If you could bring that back for final approval, the size of the window for staff to approve. Would that work, Katie?
Yeah. Keeping the approximate size of the
Approximate size
existing,
of that.
just going to square?
Yes.
I'm sorry, keeping the approximate size it is now?
Yep.
Okay.
We're talking about that one window in that wood area.
Yes.
My opinion, it looks totally inappropriate, that particular window.
Okay.
I think it would, and this house was built in 1915. This is a hodgepodge. I don't know what happened to this house. This is going to be in a book one day, this one.
We're
Stephen
fine.
loves it, so
We're
he's-
fine with removing the
He's
window.
trying
glad you
he's trying to make it better.
Because the windows downstairs have obviously been changed at some
They have.
point. I would prefer those to come back to some historic condition in the future, and that the windows in that addition be more like the other windows on the second floor,
Okay.
maybe two that would have some, of course, privacy on the inside.
Right.
I've seen that done in certain homes. So you keep the historic look on the outside,
Right.
and it's whatever you want to do on the inside. Because I think that just is totally inappropriate.
We're fine with taking the window out.
So now we're taking it out, we're just making a little round one square, and now we're adding.
I'm
further
talking,
away.
yeah,
We're not
that's,
adding, no.
that's my opinion, so I
I would
wouldn't make a
My
motion
motion
about
is
it.
not to add.
I'd prefer to just take it out
And do this.
thought you
and
wanted
do
the
the
window.
framing.
This-
I think it'll look good.
Take it out and
Okay.
make a square or rectangular shape there, where
Right.
the round window is.
Well, I'm just saying, it sounds like it'd be easier just to take the window out,
Oh.
period.
He says pull it out and then frame it, as in that.
Oh, right.
So it looked like
I don't
this.
know what,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the second best thing.
Right.
any comments? This is, Dan?
I agree with Commissioner Massey. I think that small round window is totally inappropriate, and not just the location, but the house itself. And I would hope that at some point, consideration would be given to putting in windows that complement the other upstairs windows, and perhaps replacing the ones that on the first floor as well.
Right.
I just can't imagine that was not a porch. I don't want to go
Right, well, he's
against
got a
this.
shower there now, so it's kind of hard to,
Well, I don't think they had that in 1950.
no.
But I'm just saying, I think the Sanborn maps, I don't want to go
Right.
against them, but I just can't imagine that wasn't a porch in 1915 myself.
Yeah.
My opinion.
Okay, so Commissioner Meacham has made a motion to, not completed her motion yet.
Yes.
but, to approve the stucco, remove the window, and add the frame.
Well, and that is described on his drawing. Let me see how, okay.
You can say as submitted in the proposed drawing.
Proposed.
Do you have enough dimensions? I mean, it's 1 inch.
Yes, he has the dimensions on his original one. So I'm going to refer to the drawing on page 16 of 18 and delete the window. So are you in agreement that the 11 inches on your, that you have drawn on yours is going to be that same size of the frame?
Yes.
The finished frame?
Yes.
And that the 8 feet, you've got 8 feet, 10 feet, 1 foot. So the frame at the top would be 6 inches, 1 foot on either side, and 1 foot on the bottom? Is that, let's see, you've got...
Without the window there, we can actually have the frame 1 foot all the way around.
Okay, 1 foot all around. Okay. I'll try for that. So, going to make a motion to approve HPCA 1700198, item 2, with the following condition, that the item 2, and refer to the attachments, page 16 of 18, where a frame is indicated around the exterior, which would be, or the stucco portion proposed, that would be on all 3 sides, to delete the window on the front-facing wall, and that for all frames on all 3 sides to be 1 foot wide on the top and sides.
Right.
And the material to be stucco. How's that?
Would you like to add some specific findings?
Do I have to?
Well, I think the first 3 apply, the
Okay.
staff report.
And include okay. And does that make sense? To include the item, the findings 1, 2, and 3 that were included in the staff report?
And maybe say something about the stucco being appropriate, because 85% of the house.
Okay.
I'm not going to make your motion for you then.
I appreciate all help. And is that going to be a finding?
Yes.
Yep. You started your motion saying, based on the lack of remaining original material, that the stucco was appropriate. If you want to
Change that to a finding.
Yes, I'll change that to number 4 finding.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Meacham. Any second?
Second.
Okay. Alright. Seconded by Heather Clemmer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, you've been approved with that condition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
HPCA 17-00201 at 420 Northwest 28th Street, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Teresita Patawi by Mario Claraval of Radius Design and Construction for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct rear gable extension of roof elective, 2, enclosed portion of rear roof elective, 3, create rear door opening elective.
Are you the applicant or owner?
This is Mario Claraval. My address is 5208 Southeast 46, Oklahoma City.
Okay, if you'll continue to sign in, thank you. Okay, staff recommended a continuance for all 3 items. It looks like they need additional specifications. They've recommended changing the roof line. Do we have any comments from commissioners, either for or against any of those?
So, want me to speak? Or?
Yeah, so Mr. Claraval, have you read the staff report and their recommendations?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to get an extension for that building, that all the drawings that I showed up.
continuance? Or, I'm sorry,
Make extension.
you need an extension?
Only
On the building.
On the building, yeah, and we just extend the gables already, about 13 feet. And then we enclose it, for a closet only, and a bathroom there, Closet and a bathroom.
In the staff report, staff has indicated that they need additional information from you on a couple of items.
What information?
What is the siding material? Is it cement?
I submitted it. I don't know if you receive it. You receive it?
We have what you've,
Yeah, we
submitted.
either, if we can use that lap hardy board is almost close because you
The
cannot
hardy-
find that material
hardy
already.
board? Okay.
Yeah, lap hardy board, but I don't think you will go with that textured hardy board
Textured hardy board or no?
because it will not be, it will be different.
Cementitious? Okay.
It will be different, so I think I recommend that what do you call lap hardy board? It's almost the same,
So instead of what you submitted,
Yeah.
you want to do the,
Yeah, I showed that. You can see it. It's almost the same. They are almost the same.
What is the material made out of?
I think it's either it's wood that's like a dustwood. No.
Right.
I think it's
that's allowed.
they call it. It's a wood. You can see
Right,
it's
it's
wood.
like a particle board, kind of press board.
But that is for exterior.
It's what?
For exterior.
But we don't,
Yeah, those are for exterior. They use that already.
right. Is that one not allowed?
Yeah,
They call it a
guidelines do not allow a wood composite.
Right.
It's like-
The guidelines do not allow a wood composite.
Pardon?
It's a composite of wood, and our
So
guidelines,
what do you want me to do? Just put
Like a-
wood?
either, right, it could
wood,
be,
I
that
agree.
would be one wood,
Like 1/2 by
or the
6.
cement, or like a
Cement?
hardy board, where it's,
Hardy board.
but not the press board. It's not allowed.
Okay, yeah, I can use the same material, but it will be wood, made of wood.
Okay? You would need to bring that back to,
But I have that, I think I got all. They said that is especially for that outside, that one I showed in the picture. You go to the picture,
You'd have to bring back,
it will tell you everything of. If you can read it, that it says there, lap siding hardboard.
right.
is that the pressed wood?
Huh?
So what you've submitted, the lap siding hardboard, is a pressed wood product?
Yeah.
And the guidelines do not permit use of that
Oh,
product.
so you want
You
it
would either need to use a wood siding
Okay,
or potentially a concrete siding.
concrete siding, yeah, I can do that.
And
There's no problem.
neither, they would have to be smooth. They could not be textured.
Yeah, yeah. We can use stucco, put the wood and then you put stucco, it's okay.
Wood with stucco?
Yeah, we can do that, or wood. I can do all of
All
that.
over the place,
No,
I
just
think.
standard siding, standard wood siding.
So standard siding with wood, because that materials, you cannot find that anymore. I tried. Those materials that they use there, you cannot find that
yeah.
anymore. They don't make that already.
I believe they do.
Okay, I'll just go with wood. I can buy a wood and just paint it the same paint,
Right.
whatever,
You would-
I'll match it.
You would need to bring that dimension back to
Where do I bring it to, Angela?
Angela,
Staff. Yep.
to staff, if you
Yeah, I
want.
can do that,
Okay.
because he didn't make any comment here, so that's why I didn't bring some more,
Right. I think the other comment was that on designs like this, where there's an extension, we like to see the difference between the old structure and the new structure.
What you mean about you mean about the gable? What, about the west side? Because I submit the west side, and then there is a elevation there. I just, the color, I just make it because It's, what are you talking about? The proposal, elevation?
The,
Because I got a proposal elevation there, proposed.
The concern is that the roof comes straight
The
out
same.
from the existing roof, and the wall comes straight out from the existing wall, and
It's-
there's no break, there's no differentiation or difference between the historic house and the new portion?
Because you see, it will be like that. You see it, if you go to west side, you see it like that. So I just extend it.
So we have a guideline,
Yeah.
4.3.6, if you want to follow along. It's in the staff report, page 6 of 11.
Page 6 of 11.
Page 6 of 11, and it's item 4.3.6, about halfway down the page. What that guideline says is that in addition to a...
What do you mean, 6.16?
Page 6 of 11.
6 of 11. Why I got 16?
Yeah.
7 of 16.
It would be in the first part of your packet, within the first few pages.
Because I don't have 11, I got 16 here. 216. Maybe I got the wrong.
Do you have a packet that looks like this?
Yes.
That says
It's in
staff
the-
report?
start from the
Start
front.
from the beginning, from the
You
first
mean a
page.
report like this?
I
one?
think that's the agenda.
You mean this one?
No, the packet that you received in the mail that says staff report at the top, do you have that with you?
That's, okay. So you're looking for what the number?
Page 6 of 11 in the staff report.
6 of 11. Okay, so what,
Okay, so then you're going to look about halfway down the page to guideline number 4.3.6. Do you see that?
yeah, in addition,
In
the
addition to
historic building
historic
must be
building,
designed to be visibly distinguishable from the original historic building.
right.
But that is-
So what staff has noted in your application is that you've extended the roof line.
Yeah.
But you don't, there is not a visible, it's not visibly distinguished from the historic building.
If you go to that plan, it will be visible. You go to the plan. If you see it, because when you see the gable, I just extend the gable like that. Because he told me to just draw a portion. I didn't draw the whole thing. Just show me,
But you're just extending it. There's
Yeah,
not
just
any
extending it like
change.
that.
Right, and the guideline says that they want some sort of change.
So you
in
don't
that
want
roof
to
line.
extend that? What do you mean?
So staff is recommending that there be some sort of change in that roof line. I think something
What?
Something else to consider is that the addition is relatively small at 190 square feet. That could be a unique circumstance. The size of the addition,
Just,
there would be a tiny, you change the roof line and there's this tiny little box there, it might look a little funny.
I don't think, to me, this is just my opinion. When we just extend it, I can do it hip if you want. Just go down, hip type, you go that way. But how do you extend the roof there? It's just the same.
We're just interpreting the guidelines
Yeah, yeah.
based on what you've presented. So I did want to make sure that you saw that guideline.
I showed it to Angela and said it
Yeah,
would be okay. He said, no. But I said okay.
Who said okay?
Yeah, when I said I just extend it, I don't know what is okay. Maybe I misinterpreted her, sometimes, if,
It's a lot to read through, I know.
yeah.
Okay, comments from other commissioners?
It's just a small closet that we extend there because we just want the closet there. And the window, we don't change the window, we just move the window backward, that small one, the same window. So nothing is changed there. The wood will be the same. I'll get a wood instead of that, if you don't approve that one, that lap hardy board.
I mean, I understand what,
Everything will be, will be all the same,
right, due to the size, I could see how it could be a unique circumstance for the,
Because if you put wood there, it will be the same already. Just get 1/2 by 6. and just paint it the same. Just slap it.
I mean, I'd be glad to make a motion with a unique circumstance that, there be no visible, section since it's 100 square feet. Is that what it was? 190
Almost
square.
100.
Then there was also comments on the doors.
The doors, I submitted doors, the same door that they use on the front. It's just the fiberglass door, Masonite, they call it Masonite or fiberglass. Just for the outside.
Uh-huh.
Those are like, you see it like a metal. Now, I can use metal if you want, but it look like a metal,
No.
Could be conditioned that the door.
Those
and
are for the
siding
outside now.
Submitted to staff.
They call it fiberglass door or Masonite.
Okay. I can make a motion to approve the design portion, but the condition would be that you would have to bring in the exact siding to staff before you get your CA, and also to get approval of the doors.
Okay, I can do that.
Door style.
Whatever is approved, I'll do that.
And you don't actually have to bring the physical piece of siding.
Yeah, but I got
Specifications.
I got a picture already there, if you can see
Yes,
it.
similar to that, but not the press board paneling. Has to
Get a
be either
picture
real,
of the actual
either have
siding
to
you're gonna use.
to bring in state the wood and the width of the wood and the width of the existing
It will
wood siding.
be like 6.8
Okay,
by 30.
okay.
Okay, you
Okay,
need to write that down,
Huh?
give it to staff.
right.
Yeah,
I
six.
guess.
It will be 6.8. Those are the standard, 30 for the back, or 32. I can do 32 or 6. I think I'll go 30.
So I make a motion to approve HPCA 17-00201 with the following, with the unique circumstance that the proposed addition, the size of the proposed addition is so small that to make the definition or to make a difference between the historic and the new would be, it's not necessary, I'll say that. And that's a unique circumstance. The condition would be that the applicant bring in a statement or information in regards to the exact siding that's going to be used and specifications for the doors.
For the siding only? In the door too?
Specifications for the doors and the
Okay.
door and the siding
But-
must be brought back
So
up here to
the one I submit that is not approved, that
It is not approved.
fiber,
The fiber board is not approved. You're going to have
how
to...
about metal?
No.
Metal door?
Oh, you mean the metal door? No.
So,
A fiberglass door is okay, but we need to make sure we have the specific door that is,
because for the outside,
right.
Fiberglass for the back door.
yeah, that's fiberglass.
Okay.
That was
But
fiberglass.
the style of the door needs to be approved, the design of the door.
Yeah, it's six panels.
That-
It's a 6-panel door.
So someone will come out after the work is done, after you've completed all of this work that
Yeah.
we've approved, and they're going to look and make sure that what you've installed, what door you've installed,
So you
what siding-
approve-
hold on a minute, what
Oh,
siding
sorry.
you've installed actually was approved,
Okay.
and not you went off and did something else that we did not approve.
Who-
So in order for the inspector to do that, they're going to need to have all of the documentation in the packet specifying exactly what that door looks like, the measurements of it, so we can't just hear you say it's a 6-panel door. Well, what's the size? Is it fitting?
I think I gave the size.
There may be some of these materials that are in here. Staff can follow up with you after
Yeah,
to
no, I
confirm
said
that what's in
I
the
get the
packet
size here,
is what's intended.
It is on the drawing, You can see the drawing.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure staff has all of the information.
Okay,
they
so
need.
I have to submit it to Angela?
Yes.
Or here, or?
You'll need
Angela?
to get with Angela, yes,
Okay.
before you get, okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah, there's no problem to
No problem, okay.
No problem to change everything if you, if that's
Okay,
what you
have
want.
a motion? Are you finished with your motion?
I think so.
Okay. we have a
Second.
First, okay, a motion by Meacham, seconded by Clemmer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've been approved with the conditions, and
Okay.
you'll just need to visit with staff after today to make sure they have all the information they need.
I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
HPCA,
I have one more question. Who will inspect it? Your group or the city? Because the city are the one going there all the time, the city? The city will be doing, because I have to apply another permit from the city. Okay? Thank you.
HPCA 17-00204 at 1917 North Chartel Avenue, Mesta Park Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Steve Skinner, Flying Tiger Properties, LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 4, repair steps and replace railing at north door, elective, and 6, install lattice around porch crawl space, elective, 7, replace window on north with smaller window and opening, elective.
Steve Skinner, applicant.
And your address?
1621 Southwest 31st Street, Moore, Oklahoma.
Okay. Did you
My
sign in
personal-
already?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Okay, I think staff has received the window documentation since the packet went out. Is that right, Katie?
Nope, that was a different
That
one.
was a different one. Okay, never mind. Okay. Staff is recommending approval with condition that you do submit the window documentation.
And I have that available now if Katie's interested. But it's going to be the wood window guys. Used to be Wawika Window, early Wood Window Rescue. It's going to be there.
Okay, while she's looking at that, one of the items is, item 4 is to repair steps and replace railing at north door. This appears to be a replacement in kind with wood materials, and that is in alignment with the guidelines. I do believe. Okay. Any comments from commissioners?
I'm sorry, with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report, and the condition that the window documentation that was turned in is approved by staff.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Meacham, second by Broadbent. Is that right? Yes. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've been approved with the condition that Katie signs off on the documentation that you just submitted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
HPCA 17-00206 at 3825 North McKinley Avenue, Putnam Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of David McCrary and Diana Galatian by Jerry Dixon for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace stockade fence, elective, 2, construct brick fence wall, elective, 3, construct brick columns, elective, and 4, install gate, elective.
I need to abstain.
Jerry Dixon for David McCrary. I can answer any questions you may have.
You signed
Yes,
in
I've
for
signed
us?
in.
Okay, thank you.
There's no comments from the neighborhood association. Do you have any, have you talked to neighbors or other people in the neighborhood? Any comments?
No.
So there is an existing stockade fence.
Yes.
And you're going to replace most
The
of
existing
that.
stockade fence on the same footprint, at the same height. The only variation there is as to what you see is that there will be 2 additional brick columns that match the existing brick columns. One will be on the southeast corner of the yard, the corner that is right there. And then there will be, well, I guess there's really two. There's one on either end of a brick element that's in the middle of the fence, depending on what picture you're looking at. The north fence, the long fence, is really the only elevation that's important. So when you're looking at the long fence, you'll have, at the east corner, you'll be a brick column, then there'll be 2 brick columns with a 10-foot brick wall, and then there are the existing brick columns with an iron gate, and then the end of the fence.
I'm sorry, I don't see that third column. I'm looking at page 6 of 15.
Are you counting?
Oh, that's the current. Excuse me. That's the current. Pardon me.
Are you counting the 72-inch plus? You're calling that 2 columns and then a corner column.
Yeah, 72-inch starts at the east end. That would be a new column. Then the next 2 columns, one on either side of that brick wall that is a part of the fence, those are new. Then the next 2 columns are existing, and there would be an iron gate between those 2 columns. Those 2 columns, because they're existing, determine the height of everything. I think that was the only issue in the whole project, was those columns are taller than the fence.
Right.
But we're bound by the proportions of those columns to create the other 3 columns.
Is there a slope in the yard at all?
Yes.
Okay.
From the house, the fence is actually 5 feet tall. The corner, that 72-inch corner, it's 6 feet tall. And then by the time you get to the other end to the west end of the property, the column is 86 inches tall. So it's 7.5 feet tall. So there's a 1.5 foot drop from the house to the other end of the property. But by keeping the fence level the way it is now, everything stays on the same plane, but it begins to get taller because the slope drops. So however you look at it, either the fence doesn't change but the slope does, or the fence changes but it stays level. The fence will look exactly like it looks now, except it'll have those 3 additional brick columns and that brick element in the middle. That brick element is what is on the end of a pool design on the inside.
And what is the length of that wall that the brick element will be on between
10
the
feet,
existing
6
column
inches.
and the new column at the corner?
Say that again. The brick element is 10 feet 6 inches wide.
10, 6, and how far, how long is the fence?
The entire
What's the
fence?
total dimension from
Well,
the existing column at the gate and the proposed new column on the corner?
26 feet.
It's the, well,
There's the
I know it's in
corner.
my packet somewhere.
It's 7 of 15.
well, it's 26 feet, 36, 46,
It's
56, 66.
87
Yeah.
feet is your total, 87.4. So there's a column, there's 26 feet, then there's the 10-foot element, then there's 27 feet.
Yes.
And then there's the
11
putting
foot
back
gate.
the original gate, and then another 9 feet.
9 foot,
It's looking at the drawing, if it's accurate as far as scale,
That's, yes.
then it looks proportional. I mean, staff has noted that the existing fence is not historic. It's 35 years old. It is generally presumed that semi-permanent features such as brick columns will not be removed. Thus, the fence height is proportionally determined by the existing columns. The proposed fence largely continues to follow the feature proposed in 1982. So was this It was proposed, the 10-foot solid area was proposed in 1982?
No, the two gate columns.
Oh, the two gate
Yes.
columns. And, I can understand adding that on the inside and the outside. It's a very long fence, and to me, anyway, I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Let's see. Let's see. And I just say with the unique circumstances that the height of the fence can follow the existing height of the columns to allow it to be over the 6-foot
Yes.
height of fences that's in the guidelines.
So that's the only finding, the specific findings in the staff report are not necessary at this point, as I understand.
I don't think, I'm
Yeah.
just, yeah, I think that's, does that work, Katie?
Did you second
Second.
that? You agree with that? Okay. So it's been motion, there's a motion by Meacham, second by Broadbent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
HPCA 17-00208 at 520 Northwest 15th Street, Heritage Hills, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Miles Tolbert by Roger Wyatt of Gumerson Blake for certificate of appropriateness to renovate the rear enclosed back porch and existing second floor porch and existing addition. I won't read all the items off. I will note that the applicant contacted me earlier today to clarify that staff report says that the screen porch is on the footprint of the existing porch, but that it actually does extend about 2 feet deeper into the backyard, if I understand that correctly.
That is correct.
Which does not change any staff recommendations.
There's one condition that was listed under, for item 11, that true divided light windows be used within the new opening in the historic structure. Are you all?
Yeah, Roger White, I'm with the contractor, Bill Gumerson and Associates. The project is for 520 Northwest 15th. Yes, we're fine with with the true divided in the historical part. We'd like to use simulated divided in that new addition, or the lower piece that's non-historical.
Do you have all of the window information, Katie?
We don't have a true divided light window.
I can get you that. That's no problem.
So the approval would still list those conditions, right?
Okay, oh, so there's conditions, okay, so the true divided be used within the new opening that any evidence. Okay, there's also a condition, Katie, on number.
Yeah, so the second condition was about evidence of previous configuration of the exposed rear wall. That's really just for documenting purposes of the evolution of the structure.
Okay.
Not anything that they would need to change. That if they, in removing that second-story porch, found.
Did you get the email that I forwarded
Yes,
this morning?
there was
the picture.
photo
It's
from
the
the
window.
exterior.
Yeah. There's a window. The hall bathroom. There actually shows a window when they moved in 86, I believe. It showed a window leading from that hall bathroom to that back porch, which obviously I don't think many people would put a window there, other than that being an outside wall at one point. So.
Okay. I would make a motion to approve HPCA 17-00208 with the specific findings and conditions as noted by the staff in the staff report.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Motion by Meacham, seconded by Zacharitz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've been approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
HPCA 17-00209 at 216 Northwest 35th Street, Edgemere Park, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Amber Matlock by Sam Gresham of Sam Gresham Architects for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct 2-story addition elective, 2, install rear door elective, 3, construct rear porch elective, and 4, install concrete patio elective.
Sam Gresham, 400 Northwest 23rd here to represent the owners. I don't remember the address.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman, I have to abstain on this one.
The addition is for a second floor. Oh, begin? Speak? Good. I didn't know if there was an introduction of some sort from Neela. I always like her presentation.
Not when you're here, Sam, we just let you.
Well, the second floor addition, she asked for bedrooms. She's got kids, several, a dozen. And she needs bedrooms upstairs, and she's asking us to add that addition to the second floor of the house. What's typical, and I've done this actually 3 times in this neighborhood, is that the back portion of the house, the front portions have those sharp pitches at 2112, very sharp. You get behind that front facade, basically that elevation, and the exterior turns, it's a 612, it's very low pitched and pretty unadorned and plain. Our proposal is to actually elevate that back piece with a flat roof that doesn't exceed the height of the existing ridge in the front. But in order to, it's kind of tough because those ceilings in the second floor are about 7 feet high, and she's willing to accept that because her kids are small. But it'll be interesting to see if she does if she saw the outcome. The point I make is that we've done everything possible to keep the second floor addition that we're proposing low and unobtrusive. Step back from the house, front facade, also lower than the main ridge. I drew the elevation in the front of the house, which I'm sorry, I didn't receive a packet, so I don't have all the drawings. But the elevation that I drew of the front of the house facing forward, there are pieces of the ridge. Those are actually decorative in function. They have no real part to play in any headroom or I just found it to be too plain back there, too hard to draw. The second floor straight up is just a box. So in an effort to try to make it look more or less like the rest of the house, I added gables to the exterior of the back of the second floor. So our effort is to maintain, according to the guidelines, something. Oh, thank you. The visibility from adjacent right-of-way, and we've accomplished that. Everything steps back from a view from the front of the house, from across the street from the front of the house. Our roof is kept low behind that main ridge that is that front facade, the primary facade of the house. So it's a rare addition to this house. So
Thank you. So staff doesn't agree with a number of those points. That the design, proportion, and size of the proposed addition are not compatible with the historic structure or surrounding district. Window details are unclear and may not be compatible. Do any commissioners have comments?
I am concerned. Some of those comments, I was unclear about some of that. The windows were 1/1, by and large. Insulated glass, 1/1 windows, 3050s. I'm not, I couldn't see how those were.
I think some of that may have been before you sent some changes to the windows. Initially, there were 1/1 windows that had transoms.
Yes. I took those off.
Yep. I mean, they're still kind of a different proportion where the upper sash is larger than the lower sash, but
on that,
I think that
was a 3060 window on because the ceiling, the floor stepped down inside the house, and the idea was to, fill up the wall as opposed to having a short window in a really tall wall. Mm-hmm. And that's on the addition to the master bath in the back of the house. Those previously had transoms, so the compromise was a 3060, and I may not have stretched the upper sash to match the lower sash, but that can be accomplished. So,
With the 3060 or back to the 3050?
no, it would be a 3060 there, because the window, the walls, she wanted me to step down. She wanted a high ceiling in this addition on the back of the house. So that required step downs into this master bath addition. And for that reason, we did taller windows because the ceiling was so much taller in that space.
Can the height of the ceiling be reduced to accommodate a smaller window?
You mean drop the ceiling in the addition? Well, her purpose was to lower the floor because the ceiling is flat at the same elevation straight across.
Comments from commissioners? It looks like we have no comments from the neighborhood association.
We've done a number of these rear additions. I mean, approved. I'm not really sure if it's. I mean, she has. What else? Was there a main consideration from staff?
I think the changes along either side of the house where I mean, if I understand it correctly, the walls will, at the east wall and the west wall, go straight up to become taller, and the pitch of the roof will change, as opposed to something more like a shed dormer that would be set in a little bit from the wall of the house. That wall will get taller. There's that kind of stucco band that will be inserted between the existing wall and the new edge of the roof. It is on the side. It does look like it will be somewhat visible, and staff felt like that was a fairly significant change to the roof form that would be in a visible location. So I think that was the primary.
The second floor does step back. The west elevation, if you can see it, the roof, the existing roof is actually, you see a portion of it remaining. So it's been pushed back away from the face of the wall below it. Do you follow me on that detail? Sorry, great illustration, very big. But on the west elevation, or I'm sorry, east elevation, she's right. It is flush. There is an offset with the gable, the tall 2112 gable that exists on the front of the house. We step back from that, but it is flush with the brick on the east side of the house. And it can be made to step back as well. I probably should have done that. I was not thinking. On the west side I was. It sits back about 1.5 feet.
So can you do that differentiation on that side without damaging the floor plan?
Yeah, and I should have done that. I don't know why I didn't. I kept telling her. She asked me why I had a lump there. There was a step in. The addition steps in. It's only 6 inches on the first floor, and then the second floor. She asked me why I pushed it back. And both of those arguments, I guess you can see the outline. It's a little hard to see. This is actually the wall below. It's the frame wall below. It's floor plan, first and second floor. Great. I mean, they're horribly tiny, and these pages aren't numbered, I'm sorry. But the second floor addition on the west side is pushed back, and it would be very easy for me to push the second floor addition on the east side of the house, a similar distance in, 1 foot, say, and leave the roof exposed, the existing roof, which is the 612 on the back of the house. That's all you can really see when you kind of look up the driveway. So,
Did that answer some of those?
Was staff also concerned with height, or just that it should be pushed back?
No, I think just that it should be pushed back and not flush on that side.
I do have Need some clarification. On the part of the roof that you're adding where it is taller
Yes.
than the rest of the house?
Right.
Did I understand you to say that's mostly, I don't know,
Well-
decorative is not the right word, but it's not,
Yeah, I could cut those off. The point of those was just simply to create, I wanted to see a gable on the facing side instead of just a mansard wrapping the back of the house.
right.
I created a gable, which is similar to what you see in the front of the house. It was a point of aesthetics. I could whack it off almost completely. It just,
I think that I'm in agreement in that we generally ask that the addition be the same height or less than.
I can cut it off.
Other than that, that would be, is that what you're concerned about?
Yes, well, the guideline is not very giving on that regard. It says, I believe it says shall not.
Okay, shall,
exceed,
okay.
yeah.
Well, it was the purpose, my intention in showing the front elevation of the house, although there's no alteration to the front of the house, was, the effort was really to show you what you could see if, you were a 20-foot tall person looking straight at the house. It's not a realistic viewpoint from any human perspective, but because the adjacent right-of-way is downhill, and this house is actually a bit uphill. So, and as far back as that is, it wouldn't be, but shall is fine. I can whack those off.
So that's two conditions. One condition would be on the east side, that you push the new roof back 1 foot to match the west side.
Okay.
And the second condition would be that the height of the addition does not exceed the height of the original structure. Is there another?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking this may be more redesigned than staff wants to.
Oh, okay. I mean, he can
shoulder.
bring it back, but
Yeah,
are
if you
those the
don't-
two things that we're asking for?
I think so.
mean, no,
Yeah.
no, there has to be new drawings.
Okay.
But those are the two things that we're asking to be done.
I can do that.
Are there any other components in the existing drawings that commissioners would like to see changed?
Well, I believe staff pointed out something about with the concrete, I think it was this one, with the concrete patio and the rear porch and all, we were getting a whole lot of coverage.
I don't think it's this one.
It's not this one?
No,
Oh, okay,
not this
good.
one.
Good, never mind.
Okay.
Can we continue this one?
Yes?
February or March?
Well, a month, I can get these done.
Do it?
February.
Okay.
I forget.
When do you
what
have to
The
have
date to
drawings
turn them in is
in?
Tuesday. Is that correct?
Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday?
To
What
be
Tuesday?
on the next month's docket.
This coming Tuesday?
Yes.
Tuesday was yesterday, so, yeah, I can do that.
Okay. I'll make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00209 to the February meeting. 7.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, I just have trouble saying that word. A motion by Meacham, a second by Broadbent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, it's been continued.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do a 10-minute break. Take a 10-minute break, come back at 4:06. Let's move on to case number 12.
HPCA 1017-00210 at 809 Northwest 18th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Christy Forth for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct additional floor at existing addition, elective. 2, remove balcony and doors at south elevation of addition, elective. 3, replace sliding doors at rear second story with siding, elective. 4, install French doors with side lights at rear first floor, elective. And 5, replace French doors in kitchen, elective. And just a fun little note for everyone, if you look at the Sanborn map for this house, the doors to nowhere on the back, there is what looks like a ladder coming off the back, and that means a fire escape. That's what that was. So on the Sanborn map. Anyway.
Okay, my name is Ross Vivona. You want my address?
What's your name? I'm sorry.
First name's Ross, last name Vivona.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yes, and your address, and if you'll sign in, please.
I did, 1001 Silver Oaks, Edmond.
Is the owner here?
Yes, I'm going to present.
And you're
her
okay
on
with
the
him
contract.
presenting, I would assume? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see. Looks like we have approval on a couple of items recommended with conditions, and then a continuance on one item. That's item 1, to construct addition with the conditions, final drawings of all elevations, roof plans, and floor plans be submitted prior to release of the CA, and documentation of the specific window product to be installed be submitted as well.
Okay, I can get those.
Okay. Okay. Comments from commissioners?
So are you all going to make the changes that include the additional windows?
Yes.
Have you, so do we need to do a continuance so that you can?
Well, I've sourced the windows. I have those drawings. I don't know if you have them.
Because the drawings that we have are not, there's no dimensions on the drawings.
Okay.
And so the other is, for myself, most of the time we have two drawings, the existing and the proposed. Unless you have really good photographs, it's really hard. It was difficult for me to tell exactly what you were going to do because I couldn't compare the proposed drawings to a really good photograph of the house. And so that's why, and then also the, unless it's a flat elevation and they both have, can't even think. If we don't know the size of the windows or the scale or anything, then it's hard to compare. So I'm just saying that I feel like that the drawings are not complete, and
okay.
That's where I would be on this. I don't think that we could.
They were drawn in. My draftsman.
Right.
Was he had some problems.
So
anyway, they're scaled in at 3050.
Right. So I think that most of our drawings, they require to be
and I can add on to these and submit them. It's the light lines on the rear elevation was the existing, and the dark was the proposed.
I mean, before today, today it was also stated that, that they do use these, the inspector uses the drawings to, when he goes out after you've done the work, he has to have something that's exact to compare everything to.
We can do.
And so without that, would you want a continuance for next month so that you can get the drawings done and turn those in? I don't think that it would be, I don't think that staff could approve without more drawings. Katie?
Yeah, I think that's whatever the commission's comfortable with. We've talked and knew that there were some things that were unclear in the elevation drawings, and as far as showing. what the existing is and what the proposed is.
I don't feel comfortable that I understand exactly what you're proposing.
I understand.
That would be my comment.
Then that's what we have to do. Do we have a rear elevation of it that you could see from here?
I mean, wherever generally there's, for every elevation that there's going to be changes on, there's an existing and a proposed, so that we can.
He wasn't.
Separate pages, too.
We'll do separate pages.
Okay.
I apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
Communicating with him was a little bit difficult. The light lines were the existing, the dark lines was proposed. And if you want those on two different pages, I can do that. I thought, in my defense, that the rear elevation would give you an idea of what it looked like versus what it's going to look like. So if
I'm in agreement, I kind of have an idea, but
Okay.
I think that it has to be specific, something that, that you can be held to. That's our purpose.
I understand where you're coming from.
Anyway.
Okay, so we need existing elevations, proposed final drawings and elevations, and documentation of the window product.
Okey-doke.
Measurements for everything.
And that puts us off, just so that I understand, puts me off another 30, 40 days?
Well, we would need, in order to get on the February 7th agenda, you would need
Okay.
to submit all of that additional documentation, a new documentation, by next Tuesday.
We can do that.
If you can do that, then
All
we
righty.
put you on the agenda for February.
I would make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00210 to the February 7th docket.
Second.
Okay, motion by Meacham, seconded by Zacharitz. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, we'll see you in February.
I think I'm up next.
Okay.
And in an interest of time, I think you're going to say the same thing to me, but let's look at it, okay? I'd like to be able to keep my crew busy through the winter.
Right. I would say the same thing, that there were no measurements, or there were some, but not
Well, my apologies.
complete. That's okay.
Let me go ahead and introduce the item, just to, HPCA 17-00211 at 1000 Northwest 38th Street, Crown Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Aaron Taylor by Christina Forth for certificate of appropriateness to 1, install front porch railing elective, 2, remove vinyl siding and repair or replace siding beneath elective, 3, construct second-story addition, attic expansion above one-story rear portion of structure elective, and 4, replace sliding patio doors with French doors elective. And I would say on this one, I think there were some other issues noted as far as the design, the visibility of the addition, some things like that. So even if the commission has concerns about the drawings, maybe we could address some of those design issues now so they can make any necessary revisions.
So should we talk about, let's see.
The rear view, which is on the screen now, I don't know that I can improve upon that in a drawing.
The roof line.
Yes. That is a cover. At one point in time, that was a patio. From the looking at the deconstruction and the materials, it was probably added in the mid to late 60s. The glass, there's glass on the other side of that siding that you see flanking the 8.0 sliding door. It's not tempered. One of the purpose, besides adding footage to that, is to rectify, it's poor construction. The same was on 18th. That addition was poorly done, and it's just pretty much a patio cover.
The one issue that I seem to recall here was there was a proposal to use cedar shingles, and I believe that is not recommended by staff, and it's not.
What's on there now is an aluminum siding,
Uh-huh.
and it covers, it's a menagerie of different things behind it, even glass behind it. I don't know if you can see from that view, but the siding and the actual gable end is pulling away from the structure where the OG&E electric line comes in.
Well, I just wanted to raise that issue. I
Yeah,
think it was an
that's-
issue, and you want to get done in February.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
it.
we need to talk about these things.
We could propose another siding. Am I correct? We don't like the siding.
Is it the original?
No, it's an aluminum siding cover.
So what is under there?
Some lap siding. It's very poor what was behind it. I mean,
Usually
aluminum siding.
That's what we would recommend,
Yeah.
is to go back.
To go back with what was there?
With what was
Okay.
there.
Yeah, we can do a beveled cedar siding.
So no cedar. I mean, it would have to be painted.
Right. The material, the wood is cedar, primed and painted.
Yeah.
That's what we would do.
Any other items we need to address if we're looking to continue this? Windows, looks like you're introducing windows forward of the rear 30% of the structure, and our guidelines do allow or provide for windows at the 30% mark or behind.
Okay.
So you can change the location so that they are 30% or behind.
Okay.
And which windows are those, Katie?
There's a window that is proposed in the gable end of
The
the side
gable end
gable of
window
the
is the one
historic
that
portion.
you're talking about. That is not in the, that is in the front. Actually, it's almost halfway where that window would go. I could move it to the back, 1/3. Is that how I interpret it?
Yes, that's how what
Okay,
the
I could
guidelines
move
say.
it to the back. It's, if I don't have the window, it's not the worst thing, because we're doing windows across that whole dormer area.
Similar to the discussion on the earlier application with the kind of rooftop addition, one of the things that we raised in the staff report was just that the rooftop addition extends all the way to the side wall of the house, so that that wall will get taller and be somewhat visible from if I get oriented.
Is it when you're looking on the east elevation and there's that
Yes.
projection there? That,
Or no, I'm sorry, it's on the west. It'll be the west elevation.
Facing west. I could.
but on the east, you can see that part going up. Is that?
No, on the, yes, you're right. On the east, you'll be able to see.
But on the west, you're saying it's a flat,
It would be covered by the extension of the original structure on the west.
So where the addition is, do you have a break in the wall? That's a question, I guess. Is there a break?
Yes.
So I'm looking at, trying to figure it out.
I could simulate the original roof line, but there's two roof lines. The original, and then they added another roof line when they covered the back porch.
Katie, are you looking at this? On the west elevation?
Yes.
On the addition, are you making a continuous wall from the existing, or are you insetting the addition?
I can inset the addition to simulate the roof line that was original. Basically, again, the wall, there would be the distance of the original overhang. I don't think I could point it out from here. I know what you're saying. You're asking if that dormer wall continues all the way up and then the shed or dormer roof goes over it. Is that your question?
Well, what the guidelines state is that where you start the addition is not flush with the existing.
Okay, I could, that's...
So on the west elevation, it would be right there, is that correct? if you could look at it.
Can I take a peek?
Yeah, I'm not, is it right, I think, that's,
That would be the small area.
right. That's why we see we're not being shown here where the original, where the existing walls are, so it's hard to tell where the addition starts.
Okay.
Katie, I'm not, I see one side of the roof. Would that solve your issue if they delineated the new addition from the existing?
I think so. I mean, I really was just calling it out for the commission, that it looks like it is visible from the right-of-way, that it is flush with the existing wall and not inset.
Inset,
so
right.
If you all feel like that's sufficient
Oh, the one that's next to it.
differentiation, then
It's on the first page.
it's maybe easier to tell looking at the south elevation that you can see the first floor is not changing, and the addition's going straight up from that, as opposed to
inset,
bumping in somewhat.
Right. That would be a way to think about it. When you're on your rear elevation, you should be able to see the sum of the original house on either side.
That's an easy fix.
Okay.
Move the drawing over. The way it's drawn is, I'll tell you, is incorrect from the standpoint of that wall actually insets and the overhang goes over it. So it's probably an error of about 10 inches, 12 inches.
Okay, so like the last case, we need existing elevations and correct proposed elevations.
Okay, we can do that.
And as always, we suggest, staff is always available, so,
I understand.
I would definitely, work with them.
And we've talked a lot.
Yeah.
They've worked really hard to try and get some things straightened out, so I appreciate your work and communication with us. So.
I do too. Yours.
Are we making a motion to continue? Is that correct? Yeah. Make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00211 to the February 7th meeting.
Second.
Motion by Meacham, seconded by Zachertz. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I know what to do now.
Thank you.
HPCA 17-00212 at 825 Northwest 37th Street, Crown Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Anthony and Allison Moses by Catherine Montgomery of Preservation and Design Studio for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct addition elective, 2, install back deck with concrete edge planters elective, 3, install driveway gate elective, and 4, remove fence between driveway and yard elective.
Hello.
Hi, are you the owner or?
I am. I'm one of the owners, but not this house.
Okay, if you'll, I'm sorry, say your
Sally
name.
Moses.
Okay, and address and sign in.
825 Northwest 37.
Okay, and sign in, please. Suzanne, I believe this is the one that you had mentioned earlier about the deck in the backyard, proportion of open space. So I don't know if you want to comment on that now. So the proposed deck appears to be over 500 square feet, which is approximately 6% of the lot. And staff is concerned that the ratio of the built to open space could be better.
So I have some calculations. We calculated the lot area and the lot coverage in two different ways. We did it first, just the lot area, the legal lot area of 145 feet deep by 58 feet wide. And then because visually, the area in front of the house, which still has landscaping, we calculated it that way as well. So the decking without the area of the front yard is actually about 5%, and then when you add in the frontage, then it's 4% lot coverage. The guideline actually states that that lot coverage, it is not appropriate to alter the overall character of historic districts by substantially reducing the ratio of open space to built space on any site through new construction, additions, or introduction of surface paving or other hardscape features. So keep in mind that the deck is made out of wood. It has a concrete edge just to give a nice clean edge to the deck. So technically, rainwater will be able to move through the gaps between the wood pieces of the deck itself. But having said that, since the guideline says substantially, there's no real quantitative amount given for the definition of substantially. So, 4%, 5%, what really constitutes a substantial amount. Keeping in mind also that all of this is in the backyard, which is quite a nice big backyard, has a lot of area actually behind the garage. And, there's none of the deck will be visible from the front of the house.
Any responses from commissioners to that point?
The deck is also partly a walkway instead of a concrete walkway from the deck to the garage. We just made it a continuation of the deck.
So other than the concrete wall around it, it'd be easy to pull it up.
Yeah, and it's only I can't remember exact height, but it's like 6 or 12 inches above the ground. So it's really just an even walking surface. To make the backyard a little fun to use.
There was another comment on the west elevation and the wall surface. Did you have a...
Yeah, so on the west elevation, we have, on the interior, we have a kitchen on the ground floor, and we have a master bathroom and closet on the second floor. So we have 2 small windows that are, in the shower area. And depending on what the commission feels about the openings there, we can certainly, introduce another window, say, in the closet, which would make that further to the south or the front. I'm looking at page...
Which elevation are we, which?
West.
The west elevation. I'm on page 10 of our drawing sheets.
So the window, an additional window could be introduced that would be closer to would that be the front of the house?
I'm assuming that is what staff is referring to in the report?
Yes.
And actually, Allie would like to have a window in her closet, so she actually liked that idea.
So it'd probably be the same size as the other 2 windows there?
I think we could try to make it a little bit bigger, maybe something that's about the size of the kitchen windows.
Okay.
We don't have the same modesty issues in the closet that we do in the shower.
I'm in agreement with staff's assessment of the size of the addition. I understand Catherine's explanation. I think some of that on the, or at least for me, on the deck was hard to tell what was the deck.
Well, some of those areas, let's see if we can find a page reference.
I think I know now, but I was just...
There's also concrete edging for planters.
Right.
Not all of the area that you see is actually hard surface. Some of it is just concrete edged planters. And it's just, 6 inches wide.
Yeah. Those are all my questions.
Do you feel like we need, do you feel like we need, you said it was difficult to read?
I mean, I think the explanation, now that it's been explained, it was just for me, I understand it now. I think if there would have been wood slats on where the wood is on the
in the
that was
drawing.
kind of like, okay, when it said concrete, then I think that was a little confusing. But what you're saying is there's going to be 5 feet of wood in front of the garage, and then that wood will continue on, and then is there a tree?
Yes, there's a tree that
A big
we're leaving
tree
a
in that
big
square
tree. Yeah, in the
area.
square, right.
So
That'll be earth.
Quite a bit of landscaping, and then just a regular concrete driveway.
So I asked Ally for a couple of pictures because I contacted Katie earlier this morning and said, what additional information do you need? Unfortunately, I left my phone at home, so I didn't get the pictures that Ally sent, but she has them on her phone, so she can show you kind of where the inspiration for this idea of the deck with the concrete edge came from, if you're interested in seeing a photo.
Is it from the current property?
No.
Okay, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I mean, I'm good.
Okay. I can send them to you tomorrow, Katie, just for your edification.
I mean, I would make a motion to approve with the condition that a final west elevation with the additional window or changes to the windows on the second floor of the new addition be submitted to staff.
To be approved by staff? Katie, is that okay?
I think so. I think that's pretty clear, looking at the elevation and the floor plan and matching the kitchen windows. Yeah.
Let's see, any other conditions? The condition that the details of the canopy be submitted to staff? Not really.
That's fine. We provided some details, but I can appreciate that on page 13 of our drawing set.
Right, okay.
But certainly any other information that staff desires, we'd be happy to provide.
Katie, what additional information would you need on that?
Let me look at what I actually said.
Said the installation details.
Yeah, I think my main concern was how it was attaching to the addition and whether or not it was attaching to the historic.
It is not attaching to the historic. It's only attaching to the addition with the threaded rod and an eye bolt on the addition. So that's held in tension and holds it up.
Okay. I think that was my only concern.
I would make a motion to approve HPCA 1700212 with the specific findings as noted in the staff report by staff, and let's see, following conditions, that one, installation details of the canopy be submitted to staff prior to release of the CA, and that the west elevation of the new addition be resubmitted for approval of final window design to staff.
Mary Jo, are you recommending approval of the entire, of all items, 1 through 4?
Well, yeah, that was, we discussed the deck. That was,
I was just noticing if you are, item 2 lists some specific findings, and I don't think you want to include all of them.
item, which one? Item 2?
Item 2 is
Okay.
the last page of the staff report.
Oh, let's see. Would staff like additional information on the proposed deck and concrete planters?
I think if we had the photos that we discussed that give kind of a better visual of the intended appearance, I think that would satisfy my questions.
Okay, so, and the condition for, and see. Additional conditions associated with item 2 would be photos of the design, photos of similar to the proposed deck and concrete planter design, and
Katie, you don't need any other sort of dimensions or documentation
No, I
specifically
think,
what's going here?
I think we have, it's shown in elevation, it's shown on the plan.
Okay.
And section.
okay. I mean, I think the other items, the other findings can remain.
Okay.
I have a question. Under item 1, it's number 2, approve item 1. There is a specific finding that the size of the proposed addition exceeds limitations established by the standards and guidelines.
Staff had already also included the unique circumstance.
Yeah, I know, but
Does
we've
that
had quite a bit of discussion about how we interpret that footprint versus total
Right.
square footage, and I just don't know that we want to go on record as saying that this one exceeds the guidelines, because it doesn't exceed the footprint, and we've had that discussion. Are we talking about 750 feet or 50% as a footprint, or the total? And my own feeling is we're not talking about 50% of the footprint. We are talking about the footprint can be 750 feet, not a two-story addition then could be up to 1,500 feet, assuming it, fit everything else. So I would say that we don't want to go on record as saying that this proposed addition exceeds the limitations.
Okay. Then I would delete the specific finding number 3 under item 1.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Meacham, seconded by Broadbent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We have one remaining item under other business, home sharing, also known as Airbnb ordinance amendment to provide a recommendation to Planning Commission and City Council for an ordinance relating to zoning and planning code, amending Chapter 59. This is adding new use standards for a new specific use, lodging accommodations, home sharing. I won't read all the ordinance verbiage for you, but we have a brief staff report. This was on the agenda as a presentation last month. We did not reference on the agenda the Airbnb mentioned, so I think it might have slipped past some folks. But it's gone through all the other design review committees for their review and recommendation, and we're the last one to see it to provide a recommendation before it would presumably go on to Planning Commission.
What did the other review commissions say? Do we know? Or is it in here?
I believe that Bricktown, Paula, you might remember better than I do. I'm sorry to put you on the spot. What the other design review bodies did. Bricktown, I think, recommended approval. Riverfront is tomorrow. Oh, okay, so they haven't seen it yet. Downtown Design Review recommended an indefinite continuance, which is kind of an interesting, basically to allow any and all interested parties to weigh in on the proposal. I wrote down the actual verbiage. Let me see what I wrote down.
I'm sorry, because there was a comment from the neighborhood saying that they just received it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just to, the language.
You're lucky, you just got to see the whole show.
The language from DDRC was that to recommend indefinite continuance until any interested groups have input into the proposed amendments to the code. And yes, so it was on our agenda as an informational item in December. We did not attach a copy of any draft language at that point. That just became available via our application or our agenda materials, a week or so ago when the agenda was posted and when the packets went out to everyone. And it would have been attached to, various other committee application or agenda packets if someone was looking for it. But.
So the reason we're seeing this is because these home sharing opportunities could potentially also be in HP neighborhoods.
Yep, it will add lodging, accommodations, home sharing as a use within the table in the code that lists the allowed uses for HP. It'll be a conditional use, meaning they have to meet certain conditions, and those are essentially to get a license and to meet various provisions of the building code depending on the number of units that someone is renting, as I understand it.
But use of a particular structure is not under the purview of the HP Commission. I mean, we've talked about this before. It doesn't matter what you're going to use something for. We care about the design, what's going on in the exterior of the building.
I agree. I don't understand what kind of comment we would make. I feel uncomfortable discussing use when that's not what we do.
Right.
Well, it's the same as when we review our zoning change, a SPUD or a special exception, anything like that, a variance that's within HP.
Mainly, but those generally include some kind of construction or something.
Yeah, this does include, the one piece of this that could potentially impact the commission is that it includes requirements that buildings meet certain aspects of the building code if they are renting to 5 or more people. So and that they, have egress and accessible entrances and that sort of thing. So that could result in someone needing to do work to the exterior of the building that would then come before.
So who would be in charge of that? I mean, if we said no, it's not allowed in the historic district, then would they be denied? Or possibly could they be denied
potentially
the license if the code changed? If the thing that they were, because like stairs, railings, there's a lot of stuff like that could potentially, or parking, are there parking requirements?
There's not parking requirements addressed as far as I know.
So I don't know what we would.
So the Heritage Hills Code Compliance and Preservation Review Committee, chair and their committee, would like more time to consider this.
That's all. We just want some time to connect with the other neighborhoods, the HP neighborhoods, and just get a general idea of what's going on with it. And I think that the man from Mesta Park was there last night, and he said something about destabilizing the HP districts. And then Ms. Worthington also sent to you, and I got it in the packet.
That's what we have. Yeah. Rhonda, if you'll state your name and address and sign in again. Sorry. Yeah, we do have that from Diane Worthington. We did receive that document.
I don't think they're asking you to do anything. I just think they're asking for more time to evaluate it and see. I mean, this is the first we've seen of it. We got a packet on Friday before the long holiday weekend. We threw a meeting together last night, and we had Mesta Park and Heritage Hills there, and Heritage Hills East. But our communications director, committee member, Shannon Rundell, reached out to the other HP neighborhoods, and we want to have a meeting with them and, see how this is going to impact the HP neighborhoods. Because it could have a definite impact. I mean, one of the things that HP started with was the fact that there were boarding houses and how the properties, these big, beautiful homes, were being used. And what a lot of this sounds like is just going backwards.
So, Katie, does this go to Planning Commission next?
So that would be, I guess it goes to Riverfront still.
So they're getting recommendations from all the design bodies, design review bodies first. Then it goes to Planning Commission. So at this point, we recommend it be continued as well? And then it's continued and we see it again next month, and
So if we make and unfortunately, staff planning commission's not here. I'm not entirely clear on if we even have the ability to say continue it for HP to a future month and come back, or
I don't know if there's a plan yet for when it would be introduced at Planning Commission or not.
Yeah, I don't believe Planning Commission has started to look at this. I would imagine they would at the very least have a study session on it, and probably an Urban Development Committee review of it before it actually starts through their introduction and recommendation process. So one... I'm
sorry.
So one option is that we make our recommendation today, and that recommendation address the fact that there are neighborhood concerns that have not been heard yet, but let it go on through the process for Planning Commission to address those concerns. I don't know if we have the option to say bring it back to us, because it's not our ordinance to draft and revise, unless we were going to make additional recommendations on changes that should be made.
I think if we just underline the fact that the neighborhood association just received it, they need more time to look at it and consider it, and that we recommend that they be given that time.
I don't think that it would. I don't think it would be bad for us to say that that historic districts are likely are potential interest areas for this type of accommodations, and that while I would not, I wouldn't want to state a yes or a no or use it or not, but that they should maybe be, that the people, homeowners in those areas may have more to say than some, because of the restrictions that they've worked so hard to keep for the last almost 50 years now. They certainly don't want to. They want to be part of the process. I would be comfortable recommending.
Is that a motion or
yeah.
recommendation?
That's a recommendation.
Thank you. That's exactly what we're doing. The area is highly exposed because of its proximity to downtown.
Right.
And just the way it looks. Everybody wants to be there. Well, I think that anyway.
Yeah.
But we're really concerned about how, multiple, how many of these are going to go in and what we need to do or what we can't do.
Keep an eye on the Planning Commission agenda.
Okay, I will. So are we going to continue this?
So I would just say that, my recommendation would be that historic districts are likely areas of interest to this type of accommodation, and that we would suggest giving homeowners in those areas time to present their concerns or questions to the Planning Commission.
Okay, we have a second?
No, I haven't finished.
Okay.
I think this is reprehensible to have this in historic. This started in 1967 or 68 with Charles Nesbitt when he changed the plat restrictions so that this would not occur at all in Heritage Hills. That was the only one at that point. We became, as a 24-year resident of Heritage Hills, was not allowed. They changed the plat restrictions, and I show homes on my PowerPoint presentation when we teach realtors about it that was not allowed. And that's why people stayed in historic preservation and wanted preservation in Heritage Hills.
And continued to put our money into it.
One other problem is that this is when the applications come to us that they've already done the work, and we have to hear it as if it hasn't been done. Well, there are at least 2 Airbnbs in existence, to my knowledge, in Heritage Hills right now, correct?
There's way more than that.
I'm sure that
and
I
what's
just
to
know of
stop
2.
anybody from doing it? And it causes traffic problems. It's an issue. It's an issue.
My recommendation is we should vote to deny this and never allow it to happen. That's what I feel right now.
Well, we have a motion on the table, recommendation. So are we going to stick with that one?
That's my recommendation. I feel like that we do represent historic properties, but at the same time, our main concern is, always been, the appearance. and different things do affect appearance, but I would just say that, I mean, I stick with what I said, that I would suggest to the Planning Commission that they, maybe take more time with neighborhoods that are historic and hearing what those homeowners have to say.
I would agree with that, but I would add, they also need to take more time with the neighborhoods that are not historic, because they can be affected just as much.
Oh, for sure.
So this is not, I don't want someone thinking, well, I live in an HP neighborhood, so we should have special,
Without a doubt.
Well, I'm speaking for the areas that we represent.
Yeah.
I mean, but either way.
Okay.
I mean, and then just, I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, I don't know.
I've stayed in them. I've stayed in them in
Right.
LA. Yeah, there's, and there's some of them that are very nice, and
I know, I agree, Neela, but we already had these plat restrictions for specifically HP areas, so if that's where the fight begins, maybe that's where it has to be, and I'd like to know a legal precedent for when those plat restrictions were changed. Why are they trying to change it now? I'm not an attorney. I don't know if Commissioner Zacharitz and Broadbent can assist us and do some research here, but it's just not right. It cannot happen, is my opinion.
well, thank you, I appreciate that, because I agree with that as well.
And I hope HPI will make a recommendation. I just talked to a couple of neighbors. HPI needs to make a recommendation. They have made recommendations to this body before, and they need to make one here. And I hope it's unanimous about what they want. And it'll get heard at the Planning Commission if that HPI makes a determination about this. And I hope that they will do so. And I'll be happy to come speak with them if they would like to hear about that.
Really?
Anytime.
You put that in writing? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I would love,
promise you.
that would be a good thing. We
Without a
need
doubt.
somebody to come and speak, because there are some people there that are running Airbnbs that are in HPI, so.
Well, they should be
makes it
shut
difficult.
is my opinion.
Well, thank you very much. I
This
appreciate that opinion.
it should not happen.
Okay, Katie, do
Thank
we need a second on?
Yes,
I'd like to hear this again. I'm not sure exactly what it
to
was.
recommend an action of some sort? Like, are we recommending continuance? That they can,
I'm not. I mean, that's not in my motion. My motion is just they're asking us.
recommending to Planning Commission to further consider feedback and input from residents of historic districts.
And
Because
I just say historic districts and neighborhoods, since those are, they're most likely to be,
since they're some of the most desirable
impacted.
areas for these
Right.
that will be heavily impacted by the.
I mean, we are a minority. We have this whole huge city. The rest of them are like, don't care. And then they're making something that applies to everybody, but really, in the end, it's going to be everybody within, the majority is going to be a mile within downtown. So, they do need to, I think, take more time with those areas.
And
What
do
do
you
you
and
all think?
Suzanne have any comments about this?
I haven't researched the issue, so I wouldn't want to comment on it today, but I certainly share all the concerns that have been expressed.
Thank you.
Well, the only thing I was just thinking about is, as you were talking about the plat restrictions, there could be language added to this that made it clear that this ordinance does not trump plat restrictions. In other words, that no license shall be granted to, with regard to property that has plat restrictions, et cetera. I haven't looked at an HP plat.
Because wouldn't it, there will be areas where it could be restricted, like if it was an HOA that says no rental, then
Yeah.
it could not.
Yeah,
Wouldn't that be above this?
Well, we don't know.
Right.
Wouldn't
That's
that
what I wanted
be
to
the
find
same
about that
thing?
earlier.
Because there's places where you can't rent.
Yeah. So, I don't know, just to make it clear.
Right.
That this ordinance will not trump plat restrictions or HOA restrictions, et cetera. That kind of language should probably make a lot of people feel better. I don't think we have those plat restrictions in Putnam Heights, not that I'm aware of, and most properties probably don't, but that would certainly take care of HPI if the whole area, if the plat
It was an
changed.
unusual,
Yeah.
it's not the standard HP
No, it's
thing.
not.
And, there are also problems associated with it because they were all about single family. And so then in some instances where there were other properties that were not originally, like a duplex or something like that. There were issues there.
Right, and that seems to be the loophole that I've heard a lot of people coming in on, doing, oh, well, mine's not a single family, I can run an Airbnb out of it.
So can we include Suzanne's recommendation in our recommendation?
Maybe Suzanne, we could say, we could add to the recommendation, special concerns include and list.
Plat restrictions.
I
don't think I need this now. Plat restrictions and HOA restrictions are the two that have been mentioned, and I don't know, there may be others. Frankly, what I would do is limit this to a certain number of days per year. The way this is written, it says that it cannot be more than 30 consecutive days. That normally provides any protection at all. Wait 1 day and rent the whole thing out for another time. And, I'm thinking, if they limit it to 15, 20 days a year, the IRS would give 3 to 14 days when you have to pay taxes. So, we might make a suggestion that make it 14 days a year for any one property plus all those other restrictions.
So they will have to have a license to do this, to have an Airbnb? What is happening to the places that are operating as Airbnbs right now? Are they in violation of some ordinance?
In violation until the ordinance is in place.
Yeah, one of my clients is doing that in Piedmont.
That's why I think we're seeing garages turned into apartments.
You're absolutely right, and garages being built with now, we need to have this second story. Why? It wasn't there before.
We can take care of a lot of those.
Well, but they're popping up, right and left in the neighborhood. I can drive around, this is what I do, I drive around the neighborhood and look at these things, or I walk the neighborhood most of the time when I have something important that I want to see. But yeah, there's garage after garage that has gone in, and with the second level where there wasn't. And, the actual footprint of the garage is larger, which I understand that because people have more than 2 vehicles. But, there's this upward motion going on all over the neighborhood.
And what's next? Part of that plat restriction restricted businesses being run out of homes. Let's stop that too. That's why historic preservation went forward and people enjoyed the appreciation. I made a fabulous appreciation on my home, and it was because of these guidelines that helped that.
Well, see, this is something I don't understand. I don't understand how an Airbnb is different than any other business. I mean, it'd be like somebody putting in a beauty salon in their garage. I mean, that's not, you can't do that. Or, a pet grooming studio or anything. I mean, what's the difference? They're both businesses.
Let's move on.
Sorry.
I think we've
I could talk about this all
topic.
afternoon. And I feel like I've been here all afternoon.
Yes.
I'm just going to take the rest of your time.
So Laura, have you determined whether we need to continue this or just make the recommendation?
If I'm understanding correctly, Mary Jo Meacham's motion was not for continuance, but was just sort of a...
Okay, and we wanted to add Suzanne's comment as well? About the plat, it not trumping. Do you want to, Paula, do you have what you need from her? Or should she repeat it? Repeat it? Okay. Okay.
Well, I think Mary Jo suggested. Oh,
okay.
Restrictions and anything else. Those are the only two we talked about.
I think I've got enough notes, and then we'll listen back to the recording of this and get it, I think.
Okay,
Make
well,
you all
I think
repeat
that
it
we
again.
were just all kind of like, what is this? And it was really vague. It never really explained what exactly. I mean, it's vague, and and it was the first we'd heard of it, and we got messed really quick, but we want to talk to everybody. We want everybody to be aware of this, because it's going to affect all of us.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Okay, so are you
Keep an eye
telling
on
me I
planning
should go away now? Okay,
to go.
I will. Thank you very much, I appreciate your time.
All right.
It's freezing in here.
Okay.
And the heat.
Katie, communications and reports? We need a motion. Okay, so we have so we do need a motion for a recommendation. Okay, which Commissioner Meacham has done, and Suzanne, do you want to second that? Oh, sure. Broadbent seconded it. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. No.
It was a delayed aye.
Communications and reports, administrative approvals with some withdrawals. Let us know if you have questions on any of those. City Council, we reviewed 3 National Register nominations recently, and those have gone to City Council and will go to the Oklahoma State Historic Preservation Office's Review Committee on January 18th. If you're ever interested in attending, those are kind of fun meetings to see the National Register nominations from all over the state. And then it'll go on to the National Park Service from there. Nothing else from me under any of our other items there.
Katie, has Marcus Garvey been designated? Have we already done that? Or no? Marcus Garvey School?
I don't think so.
Okay.
That doesn't ring a bell.
Okay. That might be one to put on our radar. The committee's radar. Okay, next meeting date, municipal counselor, sorry, nothing, okay. Next meeting date, regularly scheduled meeting is Wednesday, February 7th, 2018 at 2 p.m. in council chambers. New applications for this meeting were received by January 2nd. So on those continuances, they do have it until Tuesday, though? Yes. Even though it's not January 2nd? Okay, that's confusing. Okay, new information on projects continued from today's meeting to the February 7th meeting need to be received by staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, January 9. Next regularly scheduled workshop for the HP Commission is Wednesday, March 14 from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., 420 West Main, Suite 900. Any items from commissioners? Citizens to be heard? We are adjourned.